being pulled in so many different directions that what is going to create success in your business is something you can't even see today. So, I want to do a quick pulse check before we dive into today's special episode. I want you to put into the comments what what in your calendar is does it feel more strategic or does it feel reactive? Like if you did a scan of your calendar. In fact, you can do that right now. You can go ahead and look through your calendar the next week, the next month. Do you have any strategic time set aside? Do you only have tactical things? If it feels like you're constantly reacting and there's no spaciousness for strategic thinking and intentional decision making, then go ahead and put reactive in the comments. If, however, you feel like you have plenty of spaciousness, maybe even have scheduled time for strategic thinking, put strategic into the comments. I want to know where you're at so that as we create future episodes, we can make sure that we're hitting exactly what you need as a change maker. Now, today I want to talk about how most leaders, especially in the US, pride themselves on being responsive. And like a lot of times we mistake responsiveness and it's really reactiveness. Like we feel like we have to reply back to a text message right away or an email right away, where the smarter leaders are a bit more intentional and they might even have an automatic reply saying, we'll get back to you between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m. And they're not constantly in their inbox because they're being more strategic, they're being more intentional. Responsiveness looks like leadership at the surface level, but don't fool yourself. Responsiveness oftentimes is reactivity and it's not intentional strategic thinking. Over time, when we're constantly responsive, it quickly replaces our strategic thinking and our ability to make intentional choices that will move the needle forward for our business, our employees, and our clients. The real risk here is not just busyness. The risk is misallocated leadership attention. When your leadership attention is being pulled in multiple directions, this means we're not able to create success that is repeatable, scale the things that are already working, and focus where it's most important, where we actually have real problems that are blocking our success metrics and our successful outcomes. Today, we're going to unpack the hidden costs of an urgent first culture. I want to repeat that, the hidden costs of an urgent first culture, and how strategic leaders shift their focus back to what creates real momentum and sustainable growth that sticks. If your calendar feels reactive instead of intentional, this conversation, this special episode today is for you. I want you to tune in, lean in, and create space to listen and reframe and bring this into your DNA and your makeup as a leader. So let's talk about the urgency illusion. It's like a mirage in the desert, right? It's not real. Urgent rarely equals important, right? So we when we're being pulled in reactivity and our calendars are reactive, we mistitle what truly is urgent. This is not me saying that true urgent things that are critical are not urgent. In leadership and in business, we rapidly and quickly mistake what's urgent when we are not intentional and strategic. Many urgent problems, in air quotes here, are symptoms of earlier decisions, unclear systems, or delayed strategy, right? When we have a firm foundation, we're not stuck in reactivity because we have clear systems and responses, standard operating procedures, all the things to be a well oiled machine that create the space for intentional decision making and leadership. Reactivity feels productive because it keeps leaders busy. But activity and busyness is not the same thing as progress. In fact, a lot of activity slides us backwards and away from our success metrics and where we want to actually arrive and be. Urgency creates this illusion of progress and forward momentum, but it's actually quietly stealing your future. And oftentimes it's creating massive, massive burnout and overwhelm. So let's talk about this hidden cost of constant reactivity. First of all, I've been saying constant reactivity sounds and feels exhausting, utterly exhausting. I get the ick even making that statement. Every urgent decision or reaction displaces something far more valuable. Strategic thinking goes out the window because you're so busy putting the fire out, you can't even think strategically. And long term planning gets pushed back because you're busy being a firefighter. Creative problem thinking stops happening. How can you critically solve problems when you're constantly putting out the next fire? And leaders lose time for reflection, not because they lack discipline, but because urgency crowds it out. There's no spaciousness for strategic or innovative thinking. And how this looks is constant fire drills, last minute decisions, leaders acting as escalation points for everything. You probably have high turnover. You're probably losing clients. Your employees are unhappy, and you probably feel lost, burnt out, and overwhelmed. And you're probably tired of holding it all together. What leaders fail to decide because they are so busy reacting often costs more than the actual crisis in air quotes itself. So, how does urgency corrode our intentional decision making? Well, I don't know about you, but when I'm in emergency or urgency mode, I am not thinking as clearly. There's so much pressure on you when this occurs that you're not able to think clearly or calmly or rationally. Urgency shortens our thinking horizons because, again, you urgently need to put that fire out. You need to handle and attend to the emergency. It increases our emotional decision making because it puts us into a state of fight or flight, even if it is a modern day crisis. It prioritizes speed over clarity. The result is predictable. It's more reversals, more second guessing, and of course, less confidence in our decision making abilities. Intentional decisions require that we create space and we prioritize space, while urgency simply removes it. So, today I want to invite you to put away your firefighting hat and create some spaciousness. Let's stop creating all these fires, stop mislabeling and misassigning what's urgent to something that's actually simply a reactivity problem. I want to challenge you today to shift into strategic mode from urgent to important in a way that will last long term. High performing leaders do not eliminate urgency, they contain it. When our focus becomes a leadership system, it's not just a personality trait. It's a system that works with the entire team, your entire ecosystem. So it doesn't revolve around you, removing the pressure from the leader to be focused on the more important things within the company. Great leadership is not about reacting quickly. It's about directing action towards what drives real results and empowering your team to do the same. It's not all on your shoulders. And hopefully that seems and feels exciting. It's time to let go of the reins and train your team and empower them to put out the fire so you're not in this alone. It's about this shift is about building sustainable businesses, and they learn how to build their operations with intention and with direction with where they want to go. Your role is not to respond to everything fast. Your role is to respond to the right things well and to have systems that empower your entire team to do the same, duplicating your abilities and empowering the superpower skills your team already has. So let's talk about strategic activation. I want every single person today walking away with steps that create strategic activation that is a ripple effect throughout your business, throughout the company you work for, throughout your family, throughout your communities. What this means is I want you to reclaim your focus for high impact decisions. We have a framework for this. It's called our focus reclamation framework, and it has 3 simple steps. Step 1, redefine urgency. I want you to ask yourself, what actually requires immediate action? When I'm feeling overwhelmed and I have a big list, I can look through it pretty quickly and see, oh, none of these are actually fires. Nobody's going to die tomorrow. Nothing is going to, bleed that much revenue. Nothing's going to lose us a client. My team is okay. Those are not urgent. They are less urgent. And not to mention, quite a few of them I can actually send to my team I can delegate to them to handle. And then also, when you ask yourself, many of these urgent issues disappear, right? Because we create a redesign process. We can work with the team to problem solve them and tackle them together. Step 2, create decision tiers. Not all of our decisions belong in the same lane, right? We don't have that many true urgent decisions. In fact, there's urgent, there's important, and like high priority. There's moderately important, and then there's like the low risk administrative things that you have to get done, but they're not really important. They're important to get done, but not something you as a leader need to do. So create different categories like I just shared. We've got your really high critical important ones, your urgent, critical, moderate, and low tier. So whatever levels of structure work for you, just have that with your team, put them into buckets. And if you have a system, like a project management or task system, use those tags so that your team understands the level of urgency so they can prioritize their workload as well. Step 3, I want you to protect your strategic thinking time. If you commented reactive instead of strategic, I hope in a month from now, you're able to do a reevaluation of your calendar and see that it is, in fact, strategic now because you've intentionally protected your time and you've block scheduled time to work on strategic, important things. I want you to have these as no, like they're non-negotiable thinking windows. Like, are my super thinking time, my revenue building time, these are non-negotiables. Nothing else supersedes that unless it's a true emergency. I want you to reduce interruptions. That means removing pop-ups, having like maybe going offline, putting a sign on your door that says I'm busy. Because clarity doesn't come from speed, it comes from space and it comes from focused space without distractions. And we live in a noisy, information rich world where we need to have strategic thinking where we can focus. And that comes from intentional thinking. And a lot of times that's offline. Clarity is not found in speed, it is found through intention and quiet time and quiet space as a leader. Now, my change maker challenge for you this week, which I know as you guys have been doing this more, you're probably starting to get excited and you're like, what is the challenge this week? Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to identify one urgent issue, urgent meaning in pair quotes, in your business that could be solved permanently with a strategic decision instead of a repeated reaction. I want you to share it in the comments below now. What recurrent urgent issue in your business could be solved with one strategic intentional decision? Put that in the comments. We want to hold that space for you. We want to hold you accountable. We want to hear how it's going in a week or two from now. Write it down, put it in the comments, commit to it, share it with someone else as well. Don't just share it with us, like comment, share it maybe on LinkedIn, share it with a family member, share it with your team. Because when we share our intentional changes, we commit and show up in a different way because we want that accountability for success. Now, the future of focused, intentional leadership. The long-term gains of this strategic shift results when leaders reclaim our focus, the results will compound. They triplicate over time. You have better decisions, you have stronger team trust, you have more innovation and greater strategic advantage, keeping you competitive in your market. And we have quite a few personal leadership benefits. You're not exhausted and burnt out and overwhelmed all the time. You don't feel like you're the only one keeping it together. You're not just the glue of the team because you've compounded that into all of your employees. You have more confidence in making the actual urgent decisions because you have capacity to do so. And then, of course, more presence in leadership for issues that truly matter, that have impact on clients, that have impact on your employees, that are truly legacy issues, that are the things that matter in the long run. Focus leadership is not slower leadership. I want to say that again. Focus leadership is not slower leadership. It is smarter leadership. And a lot of you need just to hear that today. Focused, intentional decision making and strategic leadership is not slow leadership. In fact, you're going to win the race because you're being intentional. You're spending your resources, your time, your thinking, your energy, and it's taking you in the actual right direction. All right, let's focus. I want to actually reintegrate the fact that focus is the biggest asset you have, and it is truly a leadership advantage. I get on calls all the time with people that are distracted, disjointed, and they tell me who they serve and how they do it. And I'm completely lost because they're so scattered. They're not even clear on who they serve, how they serve them. And I end up coaching them and fixing their problems because they are not focused. They don't understand the purpose of focus and they've lost their strategic North Star. They have lost their connection with mission, vision, and legacy. They don't even know what that is. Focus creates clarity. Clarity creates strategy, and strategy is ultimately your North Star to being successful and removing all the noise. What you protect determines where your organization goes and what it becomes. Be intentional, protect this. This is one of the biggest assets as a leader you have. Urgency is often a signal from the system, not just your nervous system, but the systems you create foundationally as a business leader. Focus is a leadership choice, and it's one I hope that you make today if you haven't already created that foundation yourself. Strategic clarity requires space. You need to protect it. It's a necessity to protect on your calendar. And that kind of leadership is something that every business can learn to build. Now, if you're feeling like, yes, you're in that reactive mode, you're stuck, and you feel ready to make that pivot, but you feel like you need a little more support, a little more accountability, a deeper understanding of frameworks and systems to get you to that next level, to get you to a sustainable business that grows with you as a focused, intentional, strategic leader. That's exactly what we've built in Sustainable Growth for Good. So if you're ready to move from reactive to really highly focused and building sustainable success and growth within your organization and as how you show up as a leader, please check out Sustainable Growth for Good. We have a community and a course there that's helped. It's for you to have that step by step framework, that step by step roadmap, and a community to support you as you make this pivot, as you make this focus shift, which I know can be so difficult for some leaders. We're so stuck in this reactivity mode of busyness that it takes time to reframe and reprogram that. My message to you today is you're not alone. And I want to every single person here to commit to taking one step towards focused strategic leadership and getting away from reactivity. With that, I wish you a beautiful week ahead, and I will see you on our next live.